views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hi, and welcome to Open Tuesday on BronxNet, a weekly program providing you the latest information, resources, services, and community efforts taking place locally here in the Bronx and virtually. I'm your host, Alleyne. Coming up, Governor Kathy Hochul has signed a landmark legislative package to strengthen New York gun laws to help protect New Yorkers. Assemblymember Kenny Burgos joins us to discuss the passing of the nation's most comprehensive gun package. How will these bills protect our city? After that, local Bronx organizations The Fox and King, Inc., along with Sounds and Sirens, are coming together to give the underground music scene an amazing summer concert, the Bronx Summer Jam. Founder of Fox and King and the founder of Sounds and Sirens joins us to discuss their upcoming summer event. What can Bronxites expect to see at the Bronx Summer Jam? Then, our BronxNet team has been hard at work bringing you the latest that is happening in our borough. We take a look at some of our recent BronxNet packages. And finally, with a mission to help people present the best versions of themselves, Crystal Nunez promotes self-care with the Beauty Experience. CEO of the Beauty Experience joins us to discuss what it takes to be a woman in business. What does it take to start your own business? So please stick around. Open BxRx Tuesday starts now. Welcome to Open BxRx Tuesday on BronxNet. I'm your host, Kibin, and I'd like to invite you to get social with us at BronxNet TV on Instagram and Twitter, and BronxNet Community Television on Facebook. Following a series of tragic mass shootings across our country and gun violence in New York City, elected leaders have come together to address our state gun laws. New York State Assembly member Kenny Burgos joined me to discuss the nation's most comprehensive gun package and his effort to protect the people of New York. But before we start the interview, let's take a look at this clip of Assemblymember Burgos.
People are losing their lives to gun violence, from mass shootings in small towns to stray bullets in big cities. We have a responsibility, a sacred duty as leaders to those that we serve to make every effort within our power to preserve lives and ensure safety, because thoughts and prayers are not enough. The crisis of gun violence requires action. And yet 90% of the debate I've heard tonight is the impact these bills will have on hunting. In what world is hunting wildlife more important than preserving human life?
Assemblymember Burgos, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, in that video, you stated that gun violence crisis requires action, and you were a part of that action. Can you tell me about the gun safety legislation package?
Yeah, thank you. We passed here in New York, I just want to say about 2 weeks after that horrible Buffalo shooting, the most comprehensive gun package that we saw here in the United States. Part of that package with my bill was up to expand the definition of a firearm. We had gun manufacturers who were getting disturbingly creative and essentially creating guns that would fall outside of the definition of a firearm. But thanks to that package of gun laws, I think New Yorkers can rest easier to be a little bit safer now.
Now, two focus points in the package focus on social media, which I think is truly amazing. And it's a modern way to address these issues. Can you further expand on that and what they are?
Well, yeah, like you said, modern problems require modern solutions. And I think for too long, our government has been a bit late to the game in finding these solutions. But it's very clear that a lot of the threats that we've had in our country have stemmed from social media, whether the inspiration is from social media or just the sharing of ideas and processes. So part of our package requires these social media companies to give us a plan to address threats of mass harm, to really address this issue head on and make sure we don't have another one of these scenarios happening here in New York.
So we know that gun violence is a countrywide issue, but we are also seeing the effects of gun violence in our borough. Can you explain how this violence is impacting the Bronx specifically?
I think if you're a Bronxite, you're no stranger to gun violence, unfortunately, whether directly or indirectly. I get emails, calls about shootings in my district unfortunately, what feels like almost weekly. We lost the life of 11-year-old Kiara Tay just last month to gun violence. So this is a very real issue. This is the number one concern in my district and in so many communities throughout the Bronx. So this is why we had to pass this gun package. This is why we have to address gun violence head on.
Why do you think it's taken so long for us to find a solution to this problem?
It's difficult because gun violence is an issue that is not only within the borders of our borough or our city. I think New York State has done, at this point, almost as much as we can in terms of penal law, criminal law, resources to prevent gun violence. But we have been saying for a long, long time, the federal government has to step in. And I'm happy to see that after 30 years, 30 long years after we've seen so many mass shootings from Columbine to Parkland to Buffalo to Pulse nightclub. I mean, we can go on and on with this list. But 30 years later, the federal government is poised to present the most comprehensive gun package on a federal level. Because we know guns and criminals don't abide by state lines. We can have the strongest laws here in our state right here, but unfortunately, someone can drive over to Pennsylvania and come back with guns before sunset. And that's not going to protect New Yorkers here. So I'm hoping the federal package will be more comprehensive and just keep our entire country a lot safer from the issues of gun violence.
Now, this has been a long time issue and a debate, in our country for a very long time. Can you tell us, what were some obstacles in getting that passed? I know there were certain parties who were kind of against this and feel like their amendment rights are kind of being toyed around with. Can you further explain what that's all about?
Yeah, well, you played the clip a bit earlier in my debate when we passed this gun package bill. And much of the debate that we had with our colleagues across the aisle was the concern about the impact that our laws would have on hunting. And I had a lot more passion that night, but it still rings true. There's just no world where we have to preserve hunting more than preserving human life. People are losing their lives. I have kids losing their lives to guns in my district, and that is the number one concern we should be leading with. But like you said, so up there, they're debating on the issues. These gun bills will change to their hunting. In the national level, people are trying to protect the Second Amendment. And this is not an assault on the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is still the right to bear arms, but we're saying that bill, that amendment was drawn up 200 plus years ago. The founding fathers were not aware of the kind of damage, the kind of weapons that we would have designed today. So we have to make sure we have these solutions that address the real problems we have today and not just stand by one sentence created by some guys 250 years ago.
I like that you said that because I feel like a lot of people don't really think about the time, these things were put in place, and we're kind of in a different world now. So I'm kind of happy that you brought that up. Now, the gun violence we're seeing in our city is different from other states because most of the time they are illegal guns. Will this legislation address ghost guns?
So we addressed ghost gun legislation a few months back in the legislature, but this legislation also, depending what your definition of ghost gun is, right? In my bill, like I stated, you had guns that were not defined as a firearm. I would consider that a ghost gun. But now with this package, we have captured pretty much any sort of design manufacturers will come up with, and it will be defined as a firearm, and then it will fall under all the other laws that will associate with that. So to simply answer, yes, we're addressing ghost guns. We know it's one of the biggest issues we're facing right here in New York City, and it's at the forefront of our focus.
What are some other solutions our city and our country can take to alleviate the issue of gun violence? And, whether that's mental health resources, more jobs, stuff like that.
There's a saying that I heard once that I think rings clear. Nothing stops a bullet better than a jump. Right? So we have, like we stated, some of the best laws against guns, against firearms here in New York. Like I said, with the federal laws coming into place, that will be hugely helpful. But that's not to say that this is a quote-unquote silver bullet that will stop gun violence in its tracks. How do we stop gun violence? Gun violence is a result of poverty. It's a result of crime. It's a result of lack of resources in communities that for so long have lacked these resources. So now that we have these laws in the books, it's up to our state, up to our city, and our federal government to make sure those communities that have been most impacted, communities like mine and Soundview, have those anti-gun violence programs, have these mental health dollars to address individuals who may want to get their hands on a gun in some time, but we want to address that at the root cause. Put more money into education. These are the problems that you solve holistically that then indirectly, but yet directly solve gun violence down the road.
And it kind of reminds me of when AOC kind of talked about, she said something about like, police, defunding the police, and the reason why our communities are struggling is not because of just people who want to do crime; it's the lack of resources that we have. Do you feel that more elected leaders understand this and truly want to help lower income communities or just communities that are really struggling with violence?
Yeah, I think we have a wave of new elected officials in the past few years, and they recognize that when we look at some of these line items, we just have to put more money in there. Again, I have schools in my area that have the same textbooks for 10 years. I have schools that I went to that the auditoriums haven't changed, cafeterias haven't changed, and people may look at me and say, hey, Kenny, how does that solve gun violence? Now, it may be hard to draw that direct line connection, but when a child, when an individual, when people in these communities grow up and they have the best, and I mean the best and the most, up to date and greatest resources, they're going to be on a much better path going forward, whether that leads for their education or their job or their family life, their health. And all of this is how communities are designed. So we just have to focus on where we're putting our money at and making sure that it's working to the best of our abilities.
Now, what can residents of New York do to hold our leaders accountable for the promises made in regards to our safety?
Well, like I said, I get calls, texts, people stop me on the street, and the number one concern almost every time is public safety, it's gun violence. And I welcome it. And what I tell people, continue that. Don't just tell me. Tell your other local leaders, tell your Congress members, tell your mayor, tell your governor. Keep that pressure on. And if every New Yorker can mount that pressure on our lawmakers, then we'll surely get stuff done the same way we've done this session. But you have to keep that pressure mounted. And it's not to say that we need pressure to get work done. But unfortunately, you have some communities that just don't wear the same weight that like a community like mine does, where gun violence is so prevalent. You may not have that same prevalence in somewhere in an upstate community, so it's not the number one concern. But if we get New Yorkers to really pressure on and say, hey, this is our number one problem, and we need to address countrywide, statewide, borough-wide, citywide, your lawmakers will respond.
Now, we have about a few minutes left. I really want to talk about something that we recently spoke on. We talked about how a lot of the time, a lot of these perpetrators are male. And I just want to know, like, as a young male, like, what advice or what do you hope to see that we could provide to these young men so they're not going on the path to kind of causing terror and committing crime in our communities?
Yeah, it's disheartening to hear that, and it's absolutely true. The unfortunate reality is most of these crimes are perpetrated by males. A male who grew up in the Bronx, I've seen it firsthand. Right? I've had friends, I say all the time, that them and I kind of went on separate paths in life, and you can kind of always trace that back to some point in their childhood. So what the conversation we're having is that, all these programs that we have to address, not just childhood poverty and lack of housing, healthcare, education, you name it, it can't just be geared towards children as a whole. We now have to get the experts in and really start targeting towards the males, right? We need programs, we need money to be targeted towards the male population, who we know, unfortunately, is the ones that are growing up and committing these crimes. So we need the experts to really weigh in here and try to dig deep into that issue and hopefully solve it for years to come.
All right, Kenny, thank you so much for joining me. Can you let everybody know how they can stay up to date with you?
Yeah, all my social media is the same handle. It's at Kenny Burgos NY. So that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Feel free to follow me, DM me, tweet me. I try to be as responsive and accessible as possible. So stay tuned.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday. and welcome back to Open BxRx Tuesday. Two local organizations are giving music fans of all ages a Bronx Summer Jam concert. Founder of the Fox and King Inc., Fernando Michael, along with founder of Sounds and Sirens, Michael Nickerson, joins us to discuss their business and what music lovers can expect from their concert. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Fernando, can you tell me about your production company, the Fox and King?
Sure. We were founded in 2011. We focus on live music, branding, multimedia, like our show B-Sides, currently airing right now. It's a documentary series about artists. And we're just looking to work with other organizations to expand the arts in the Bronx.
And Mike, can you tell me about your business, Sounds and Sirens?
Sure. We're a DIY, events company. We work with local bands and artists to promote them and kind of give them a platform where they can come and perform to, an audience, and everybody gets to kind of interact and get exposure to things that they wouldn't normally have exposure to. We like creating avenues for that where there currently aren't any. And we work with a lot of local artists in the Bronx and local organizations like the Fox and King to produce a lot of these events.
Now, what inspired you both to create your businesses?
Mike, you want to go first?
Sure. So, I was really inspired by a lot of the friends that I have. They're very talented people. I know a lot of musicians. I grew up in the local music scene in the Bronx. And, I wanted to be able to continue that and show, newer generations that there is the ability for you to, find something in yourself musically and use that as a form of expression. I'm inspired by the people around me. They kind of help me, find, meaning in what I do and go out there and push myself to do, more for other people.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up in the Bronx, we had such a beautiful and privileged music scene here. And, working with Fox and King, working with Sounds and Sirens and other organizations, we are looking to expand and revolutionize that concept and bring music to all walks of life, all genres, across the borough and across the city. That's what inspires me.
Now, I'd like to know, how did this collaboration actually begin between both of your companies, and what inspired you both to work with each other? And Mike, I guess we could hear from you about that.
So, Fernando and I have kind of worked closely for the last couple of years, and we've grown to, to realize that we have a lot of the same goals in mind. And in around 2019 Halloween, we decided that we wanted to do like this collaborative weekend-long Halloween event. It was a 3-day festival with multiple venues, multiple artists across different 3 different days. And we had such an amazing time doing that when we realized that we wanted to collaborate more and do other events together. So it really went from us just kind of working together on shows for the underground when it came back to kind of building these festivals and doing even more that we had planned for the future.
Now, Fernando, can you tell me about the Bronx Summer Jam and how that all began?
Sure. I think Mike presented the idea some time ago. I believe he used to have Bronx Summer Jam way years back, and he wanted a way to revolutionize it and bring it back to the borough. And, he approached me with the concept, the idea. Of course, I was on board. I love working with Mike, Sounds and Sirens, all the time. And it's a free outdoor festival on the 25th, coming up this weekend. And we're working with all genres, all artists from across the Bronx, some outside of the borough, to try to bring people in, new genres in, new ideas in, but also facilitating a home and an outdoor space for music in the borough. Free, all ages, and it's going to be a great time. It's a full-day event.
Okay, cool. And Mike, can you tell me a little bit more about, I hear that you kind of had a start in this, so can you tell me just a little bit more about Bronx Summer Jam?
So Bronx Summer Jam is actually something that we hosted in a much smaller capacity a few years back. We would get together with a bunch of bands and DJs and artists, and we hosted some backyard shows, some outdoor events. They were all usually free events where different people would come together to watch the artists perform. And I really, that was actually one of the things that kind of got us all going and got me going with Sounds and Sirens is, working on that event. And it was like, there's really is a scene out here still of people who want to have a platform and want to, perform, and people want to come out and see them perform. And I've been wanting to do that on a much larger scale ever since. And that's kind of where this came from. I tapped Fernando earlier in the year, and I was like, hey, listen, I want to do this. Do you think this is something we can make happen? And of course, he was on board right away. So, it kind of grew from something small where, you saw a lot of people coming together, and it grew into now that's going to be this bigger thing. And we're hoping to make it a yearly event. This is going to be our first major outdoor event in a public park on a stage, where we're inviting, we have 12 different artists that are performing this weekend. And it's just going to be an amazing time and an amazing collection of different artists. And that's, we just want to see it build even further than that.
So Fernando, can you actually tell me a little bit more about some of these artists and how you chose them?
Sure. I mean, at this point, I think the Fox and Kings have been around for about 10 years now. Sounds and Sirens has been around 8 years long. And we've kind of formed relationships with many different artists across the borough, across genres. So it was really difficult to try to pick who we wanted to work with. But for example, we're working with July Quinn, which is a brilliant, experimentative, coming out hip-hop, alternative R&B artist that we're working with in the Bronx. We have Autumn Revival, a good alternative indie band from the Bronx as well. Flow Pilot, a local known DJ. It's all across the board, and we're really trying to showcase that the Bronx is multifaceted. It's multivaried. There's rock, there's hip hop, there's ska, there's punk, there's electronica. We're really trying to just bridge the Bronx, put them all together on one stage.
Now, I understand there's a focus on the underground music scene. Mike, can you tell me just a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think that it's important that we're highlighting artists in the underground music scene because these artists don't regularly get a platform. There's a severe deficiency of venue space in the Bronx, and a lot of what we do are pop-up events that kind of convert existing locations, whether it's a park or a backyard or a bar or a back room in a restaurant, into these spaces that artists can come and perform and have other people be able to see them. We want to showcase that there are regular, everyday people that live in the Bronx that are talented, that have something to share and offer. Then you don't have to be backed by a big name company or spend a ton of money out of pocket to come and perform at these shows. A lot of the scene and a lot of the industry is based on a pay-to-play model, and we don't subscribe to that. I'm never going to charge somebody money to come and perform at an event when it should be the opposite, way around. This is an inclusion thing. Everybody should have the ability to come out and do what they want to do and perform the way they want to perform, and not have to worry about anything being holding them back.
Now, I think this is really cool that it's happening in the Bronx because I think for a long time, people kind of associate music festivals with Brooklyn or Manhattan. Can you explain why it's so creative or why it's so important that Bronx sites have a creative outlet like this?
So, I mean, it's kind of like what you said. These other boroughs have established these venue spaces and these events, these festivals. The Bronx doesn't have any of that. I'm a Bronx native. I grew up here. My friends are all here. I work here. I travel back and forth. I go anywhere in the world and I tell them I'm from the Bronx. It's something to be proud of and to represent. And it bothers me when I see our infrastructure in decline, and when I see these, that there is no outlets for musicians or for artists. And so, we want to highlight that. There's nobody else really doing that. And the Fox and King and Sounds and Sirens, respectively, as we are trying to bridge that gap and give people a space. There's artists in the Bronx. Why shouldn't there not be a festival for them? Why should there not be a venue space for them? Why do we have to travel 2 hours out to Brooklyn, to play a venue and drag all their fans out there when there can be things for them right here at home?
Now, this is actually going to be your first time back since COVID. Fernando, can you explain what that experience is like after a 2-year hiatus?
It's so rejuvenating to be back to booking shows and working with artists and, putting schedules together. That's something that we've been doing for a good majority of our lives. And to not have done that during COVID, it took a lot. It was very stressful. It was very heartbreaking not to be working in the live music industry. But here we are now, a major festival in the Bronx. It's going to be major events all throughout the summer in the borough with different genres, different artists. It feels great to be back, honestly. I wouldn't change it for anything.
And what are you both looking forward to most?
Mike?
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody enjoying themselves and having a good time. That's the key thing for me. I want to make sure that people are able to come together and experience something that they may not have experienced before, and to be able to to share those memories with other people. So yeah.
I'd say in that vein, something I've always spoke to Mike and my partners and the artists that I work with about. One of the reasons why I do this is to create memories, just like Mike said. You want people to leave saying, wow, I had an amazing time. I danced, I laughed, I met new people. It's an experience, and that's all we want to create, more experiences.
That's amazing. Now, how can people learn more about this event?
They can go to our website. It's www.bronxsummerjam.com. All the details are on there. You can sign up for free tickets on Eventbrite. Just look for Bronx Summer Jam on Eventbrite, and you'll find free ticket registration. Tickets aren't required, but if you want to have it as a reminder, it's a good way to do it. And you can check out our Instagram page as well at Bronx Summer Jam. We're going to be posting some posts about the artist, some artist videos and everything like that leading up to the event. So, that all those will be good outlets to check out what we're doing, and, follow us for next year when we get ready for our next event.
Now, I have a question about next year. I know there's a focus on underground artists. How can they get involved if they're watching this and they kind of want an outlet to kind of share their work?
I'd say definitely contact us directly. You can hit us up on Facebook. You can hit us up on our Instagram, the Fox and King Sounds and Sirens. You can go to our websites. We're super open to collaboration. We're super open to working with new artists of any level, but definitely underground artists who are looking for a platform, who are looking for a place to perform. Contact us directly, and let's work together.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday. From graduation season at Lehman College to movie premieres in Bay Plaza, a lot is happening in and around the Bronx. Let's take a look at a few packages highlighting events in our borough.
Lehman College hosts its first in-person honor ceremony since the outbreak of COVID-19. With over 1,200 honorees, it's truly a huge celebration.
I feel really great. I haven't been here for like maybe 2 to 3 years, so it's like exciting.
It was really difficult. My grades went down, so that's why I'm really happy to be getting honored, because I made sure that eventually, once I got accustomed to it, that I worked really hard and got my grades back up so I could be here right now.
It was surprising to find out that we'd come here in person. It's great to be here. It's great to see all these people out here, all these friends and families supporting us.
Honestly, it wasn't hard. So it was a lot of struggle adapting into the new form, but we just had to make the way through it.
I'm very grateful for where I'm at now compared to when I first started in college, my college experience in general. The people I met here were kind of great and they kind of shaped who I am.
George Ventura is here supporting his daughter, who graduated with cum laude. He gives insight on how parents should push their kids into success.
Support, that's all I could say. It's just look out for them, help them out in any way you can and help them reach their goal.
Congratulations to the honorees and graduates of Lehman College class of 2022. For BronxNet, this is Kyrie Moody.
We would like to announce tonight the contribution and the establishment of the Ponce Bank Minority Scholarship Fund for the CUNY system.
A great night for the Hostos Community College Foundation sold-out scholarship benefit fundraiser, emceed by NBC4 New York's Jessica Cunningham at Glen Island Harbor Club in New Rochelle, as Ponce Bank's Senior VP of External Affairs, Madeline Marquez, joined by honoree Carlos Nodon, announced a $60,000 annual scholarship fund for students enrolled in a 2- or 4-year City University of New York college.
Ponce Bank has been around the Bronx for 62 years, and we're very much a community-oriented institution. We do a lot for the community, and it's a real pleasure to be recognized for all we do for them. So, we're tickled pink to be here.
I am thrilled to see that so many people came to support Hostos Community College, especially when we are kind of reopening after pandemic, and we are so appreciative.
The generosity continued as President Daisy Coco de Felippis talked about the single largest contribution in the college's history made last year when the annual fundraiser was canceled due to COVID-19.
We received the Mackenzie Cutts gift, $50 million last June, that helped us create multiple opportunities for our students.
Along with this $15 million boost in April, the school got a nod from the nation's signature recognition for America's community colleges after being named one of 25 semifinalists for the 2023 Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence.
They gave us glowing reviews, everything, and in the beginning they thanked me for the college and my staff for having produced a Middle States report that was passionate, elegant, and thoughtful.
I'm a student. The president has recognized me for my participation in a COVID gender panel.
Some of the students generating the hard work being seen in the faculty is Denisha Noble, a nursing aid major who shared she was invited by the president, who observed her work to help her neighbors during COVID.
She was really impressed by my resilience and so for my academic work. So I can really say that I'm really happy for that.
There were others, including this student greeter for the evening, Amdia Camintore.
I'm very honored to be here. I'm very honored to share my experience, to be on stage and share my experience to the funders so they can keep supporting people like me to keep continuing in the academic journey and then being better to themselves and their community. So I'm very honored to be here tonight.
Honestly, it's beautiful. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I think it's a great honor to be part of this with the Hostos Community College. It's just amazing how much things you get to learn.
And there's nothing like getting the support of a family member. Here's proud son, James DeFilippis.
When everything was falling apart, Hostos and the other community colleges stay and they're there for their people beyond just like classroom learning, as important as that is.
Among the others honored were labor leaders Henry Garrido of District Council 37 and George Grisham of 1199 SEIU. Former Hostos Community College President David Gomez also took bows, along with Senior Vice President of Community Affairs at Montefiore Medical Center, Marcos Crespo, for his work in serving Bronx residents throughout the COVID-19 health crisis. Also recognized Paloma Izquierdo Hernandez of the Urban Health Plan. And for distributing critical resources over the last few years was Thomas Ramos, founder of the Oyster Group's Bronx Rising Initiative, and Terry Lawson, executive director of Unlocal. They were all gathered together to invest in the next generation of leaders. In New Rochelle, Alleyne Makoko for BronxNet.
Every dream starts with you taking the first step and following what you believe, even if it is hard. For Alex Katzman, it is to give back to the community and provide a productive environment for his clients.
We're here for our customers. We value them very much. We also appreciate everybody who works for us. We have a phenomenal group of people. The teamwork is here at CleanRight is so great. And we appreciate everybody who comes to our stores. And basically, our customers pay our salaries. So we look at them as the people who employ us. We're here for them.
That is why they partner with Qualitas of Life Foundation, an organization that started 50 years ago in Mexico and expanded to New York City to help people in the community. Marcela Urbananos is the founder, and as a Latina, she wants to help the Hispanic and other races about financial literacy.
We wanted to help the Hispanic community, first the Mexican people, but then we ended helping the Hispanic community as a whole. And we researched for a year to see what was the need of these people, not to come and do whatever we thought was important, no, it's what they needed the most.
We deliver anyway between 90 to 92 workshops throughout the year. We do work in the Bronx. We work very close with one of the community centers here, that is Mercy Center. We work with some schools, some with the American Dream School. So we do have a lot of connections. We come a lot to the Bronx, and we cover the 5 boroughs, and we also cover the tri-state area. We go to Connecticut, we go to New Jersey. And thanks to this virtual platform, now we've been able to cover Pittsburgh, Massachusetts, Vermont, and we're now exploring California, LA.
Not only it is about finances for adults, but it encourages children to learn about the value of money at a young age, while pushing a nationwide movement to bring learning to local laundries. Thanks to the Laundry Care Foundation in collaboration with the Clinton Foundation, Too Small to Fail project.
People come here and they spend 2 hours of their time here. And what do? They scroll through their phones. Like they're also can't really do anything else with that time. They can't run errands because they have to transfer the clothes. So if you can bring useful things to people where they're already spending their time, that's sort of been my big focus, because if you can enrich, your children's lives and your own financial literacy, around taxes, they did a tax session, just really useful information that people can't get that easily.
In addition, the New York Public Library, Claxon Point Library, will provide a storytime session for families.
They will be coming in twice a month. So we have the schedule for April and May, kind of just to start it out and then expanding from there.
For more information about the programs, you can go to qualitasoflife.org, cleanrightcenter.com, or theclintonfoundation.org.
It's partnerships like this that are making the Bronx better. Reporting from BronxNet, Ana Garcia.
Here at the AMC Theater, located in Bay Plaza, the $1.5 million documentary premieres.
It's a documentary on the literacy crisis in the Bronx. It's a feature film, a social impact documentary, and it covers essentially the literacy crisis in terms of the lack of bookstores and access to literature in the Bronx. And it covers from 1997 until 2022.
This documentary really highlights an essential problem that I've witnessed myself growing up in the Bronx, which is a literacy crisis, where a lot of people are growing up, graduating high school, even college, but still not having a higher reading level, which is really an essential skill to succeed in business or really any job, any profession that you want to do. So I think this documentary does a great job at highlighting that issue so that people are more aware of it.
I'm a voracious reader, and coming back to the Bronx after college and not having any bookstores in my area, I always felt the impulse to venture outside of my borough to really purchase and cultivate a love for culture and reading and creativity. So I was always in Manhattan and Brooklyn. Why should I have to leave my borough to experience these things? And as time went on, I was doing a film and we needed a bookstore and I couldn't find one here, and that upset me. And a year later, I found out that Noel Santos was doing the fundraising campaign and that we had lost the Barnes & Noble, the last bookstore in the Bronx, and that was the last straw. And that's what led me to say, hey, I can make a film about this.
1.5 million couldn't have been a success without a team of creative individuals behind the scenes.
I'm the composer, and a lot of these compositions in this documentary is original by me, and Greg let me know about it because we're pretty close friends and he always comes to me whenever he needs music for anything like that. And the first thing I asked him, I was like, okay, how are you feeling? So then I pretty much know what kind of mood to add, because I feel like the music is sound and silence. It really adds to your perception of what's going on and what you're seeing. So even you have the same scene, and if you add different music behind it, it could possibly change your opinion of what you're seeing.
Back when I was a senior in high school, I developed a project called the Free Little Library, which helps bring literacy, brings free books to students or community members of the South Bronx. I put it right in front of the Point CDC, and yeah, it's been it's been a great experience developing this project, and Greg has really highlighted that in the documentary, my journey and where my inspiration came from. So, and it's, oh my God, I'm really excited for all of this to come to light.
I actually met Greg working at a tech company in the Bronx. I was doing some video, social media content for them, and Greg hopped on as a consultant kind of person for the Knowledge House, and so I met Greg there, and yeah, he just really liked me, so he invited me to come on to his little baby, which is this project.
Sophie Yu goes on to explain the importance of having more women in the film industry.
I think it's so important. One of the biggest editors ever is Thelma Schoonmaker, and she's a woman, and she makes Scorsese's films perfect, So, it's not just about getting women, but it's about getting every perspective out there.
The hope is that this documentary will change the lives and education of citizens within the Bronx. For BronxNet, this is Kyrie Moody.
We want to thank our talented BronxNet reporting team for the work that they do. We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday. Welcome back. In an effort to help people present the best versions of themselves, one woman is using her platform to promote the importance of self-care. Crystal Nunez, CEO of the Beauty Experience, joins me to discuss her journey in becoming a woman in business. Crystal, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Now, can you tell me about your business, the Beauty Experience?
Sure. The Beauty Experience, it's a spa located in Yonkers. Uh, we are focused in helping women get the skin they're looking for, offer facials, teeth whitening, and laser treatments.
All right, so I can see your background. I love it. It's so pretty. It's definitely my vibe. So I love that. I just want to know what inspired you to create a business in beauty?
Well, I've always liked taking care of myself and taking care of my skin, and I wanted to help other women establish that and feel confident within their own skin.
Now, I understand your mom was an inspiration to you in regards to becoming a business owner. Can you tell me more about that story?
Yes, my mom owns a restaurant, and since I can remember, she's always been a hard worker, and I want to show that to my children and have them be business oriented as well.
Now, what were some challenges you faced while starting your own business?
Well, I have to say, COVID has been a big challenge. I mean, for everyone. So that's definitely something that has helped me in a way to keep organized and test me. But we've been able to come through.
Now, how has COVID impacted the idea of owning a beauty business as well? Because I know for a lot of people, we kind of took a step back in the beauty department since we were like quarantining and staying home. So, what was that experience like?
So COVID has impacted in a way. At the beginning of COVID, I feel that people were just they didn't really care to fix their face or to look good because they were trying to get used to this new lifestyle, because I feel that's what it is right now. It's a new lifestyle that we all have to get used to. And doing facials is such a close thing, you know? So now I feel that people are starting to care more about the way they look, and I've been able to get through it by helping them.
And I also want to add that I do think that how you look on the outside could kind of talk about how you feel on the inside. And I know for a lot of people, like during quarantine, it was a time where people probably weren't feeling their best internally. Can you just talk about like just kind of those parallels to how you feel on the outside mirrors how you feel on the inside?
Well, I feel that it's hard, especially when you have children at home. You know, you forget on to take care of yourself because you're trying to take care of everything else. So when you take some time to take care of yourself and fix yourself and look beautiful in your own skin, not just with the makeup as I have today, but feel beautiful with your own skin, you feel more confident and you feel powerful and you feel ready to take on anything that comes in.
Now, I understand that you also previously had a cleaning business. Can you tell me about that and what you've learned from that experience?
Yes, I started my cleaning business when I was 20 years old out of need. I wanted to find a job that would help me also spend some time with my daughter, who is now 12 years old. Um, I've learned how to deal with people. I've learned how to communicate with people. And I've always liked cleaning. So I went from cleaning houses to now cleaning faces.
That's amazing. So, can you tell me what it is about, like, I guess, because like cleaning houses and cleaning faces, what it is about that process that kind of draws you to that kind of business?
Well, think about it. Both things make you feel good, right? When you come home to a clean house, you feel amazing and you just want to enjoy your clean house. When you have clean, clear skin, you also feel amazing. So that's something that I wanted to bring out to people, like cleanliness. So sharing that now and helping people have clean faces is my hobby.
So, can you actually tell me about the grand opening of your business?
The grand opening was very special. It was a little bit like when COVID started to clear up a little bit. So we were able to bring in a couple of people, our old clients and new clients, and just show our business to everyone. It was very exciting and a little nervous at the same time because we were starting to bring in the crowd from outside.
And can you talk about the challenges of actually having, because I know a lot of people have businesses today and it's usually like online, something that you can mail out to people. What is the challenges of having an actual place that you can call your own, but you actually do business there?
One of the challenges, and I have to keep bringing up COVID, is bringing the people in to the spot. So I've actually been able to successfully bring people in with social media. That's been a big help. I've been promoting my business, word of mouth, and social media, and that's how I've been able to bring people in.
I'm actually really excited and glad that you brought up social media because I feel like in the age of social media, it's kind of helped a lot of people who normally wouldn't have access to do some of these things actually accomplish that. How else has social media been, an aid to you and becoming a successful businesswoman?
Well, not only has it helped me bring in the clientele, but it helped me get my license. I was able to use social media to find the right school, ask questions about it, and just going online and getting all the resources that you need it's been a new thing for everyone, but it's really helpful.
And also, I'm glad that you brought that up. Can you talk about the importance of I understand a lot of women go into the field of beauty. And for a lot of us, a lot of our cousins or our sisters, they do this type of work, but how important it is to actually have your license to actually become a professional in this field.
Having a license is extremely important because you are dealing with people's skin. So you have to get the education that you need to be able to perform the facials and help people get through acne. You can't do this by just washing their faces. You have to go to school, you have to get educated. So having a license is extremely important to know what you're doing.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the services that you offer?
Yes, so we offer here facials, we do acne treatments, we do lash extensions, we do PMU, permanent makeup, which is lip blush, we do teeth whitening as well.
Okay, that's amazing. I think that's really cool. Now, can you tell me a little bit? You started your business when you were 20 years old. What advice would you give to other young women specifically who want to become business owners?
My advice to other women is to go for it. If we sit down and we get in our own heads, we're going to think about all the things that we're scared of. We're always going to have something scary, out there. So go for it, be organized, and get all the education you need. Right now, there's so many platforms for you to get educated on opening up a business. And I'm also here to help anyone that needs or has any questions in regards to that.
And I also want to talk about, I know because so many people are starting businesses, a lot of people kind of have this doubt like, oh, why do I need to open this? Somebody else is already doing it. How did you overcome this idea of like, oversaturation in a certain market?
If you're good at what you do, it doesn't matter if I have an esthetician next door. My clients are always going to come here because they feel comfortable and safe with me. So that's where this is a business where you're always learning. You always have to get the latest education, always keep learning. And again, if you're doing it the right way, your clients are going to come to you no matter who else is doing it out there.
Okay, I love that. Now, you were open about having children and how that made you prioritize what was really important to you. This is a reality that many women in business and in the workforce have to face or consider. Can you expand on this and how did you work through that?
So, needless to say, it's very hard to manage work life and kids, especially if you're a mom that wants to spend time with your kids. But again, it's all about staying organized. If you're able to make the time and you're able to, lose a little bit of sleep, because you're going to lose some sleep if you want to have a business with kids. But just being focused and being commitment, you can get anything done.
And I know that you also, because you're in the business of beauty, what advice would you give to other young entrepreneurs who want to get into that specific business?
Commitment. I want to advise everyone, be committed, be organized, know what you want, know what drives you, what is driving me. For me, my kids drive me. I want them to look up to me and say, whoa, my mom is successful. So that helps me wake up every morning. It helps me promote the business when I'm too tired to do it. You know, there's always a goal. So if you're focused and you follow that goal, you'll get it. You'll get it done. And we'll be here to help if you have any questions. Eventually, we do want to start training other estheticians, get certified with other treatments and stuff. So we'll be here to teach as well.
That's amazing. Can you let everybody know how they can get in contact with you and what social media you have?
Yes, so we're on Instagram, and it'll be @_thebeautyexperience_. And you can also find us via web, www.thebeautyexp.com.
All right, Crystal, thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed speaking with you. And like I said, you know, for the 100th time, I love your background. I think it's so pretty. So thank you so much for joining me.